Do you ever owe somebody sex? I mean, no. But there are plenty of times where somebody thinks they're owed sex. And it usually relates to men, mostly, paying for drinks or dinner or whatever on a date, and them expecting sex in return. Now, when applying this to a straight relationship, that seems to imply that women somehow give sex as a present of some sort. Well, I'm not sure that's really true. Women are absolutely allowed to enjoy sex. I recommend that they do. So in reality, does that mean that a man is trying to pry sex out of a woman? But interestingly, this goes back to a patriarchal problem where men are maybe even expected to pay for drinks or dinner. And 100 years ago, that's because only the men could pay for it, because they were the ones with the jobs and the women didn't have the jobs and therefore the money of their own to pay for dinner. And women were taught that it was their duty, their job, to provide children for their husband, and therefore it was their duty to have sex with their husband. Well, it's 2018, folks. But you know, it's not just a man-woman thing. Some people try and guilt their other partner, whatever their gender, into having sex with them because of other things that they think they're owed. Simply because they've helped out with something, because they've picked them up from somewhere, because they've taken the rubbish out, put the kids to bed, and maybe even you've offered it as a sort of reward. If you go and do this, then we can have sex tonight, kind of thing. You know what? And that is totally fair. But you don't owe the sex. It's something which, if you want to give, then absolutely fine. But it's not something which you should have demanded of you. And it certainly isn't something which you should be guilted into doing. For any gender, that could be getting a pay rise at work, or having a disciplinary dismissed. Such things are coercion and potentially rape. But going back to that date scenario where, you know, you may be on your third or fourth date and you've done a bit of kissing and cuddling previously, and because one party, okay, usually the man, has bought dinner and drinks on all these occasions, he's now thinking, well, I've kind of bought this, haven't I? And not only is it an expectation, it's a demand that this happens now. So you go back for coffee. Coffee, you know, coffee. Even accepting a coffee invitation, even if it's obvious what they mean by that, is not an invitation to actually have sex. You see, you might be going back to have coffee just to placate them, just to make sure that you're not going to get abuse or things like that. But you see, it's not always the best idea, because there is this societal expectation almost that this now should take place. Now, of course, there's no problem with going and having that coffee. But if you are not into it, there is no reason why you should have to go through with it. You do not owe that person sex. Although equally, of course, if you are into it, go ahead. As I always say, and as you can see over my right shoulder here, left as you're looking at it, consent is a willing and enthusiastic yes. So, are you actually willing and enthusiastic, or do you think you should do? Or if you're the person who thinks you're owed sex, are you getting a willing and enthusiastic yes? Because if not, leave it. Relationships are not made on one evening, and they're certainly not made by guilting a person to have sex with you. Have sex when you're ready and your partner is ready, and not before. And buying dinner certainly is not a reason for somebody to have sex with you. In fact, perhaps this is the actual problem here. Because it's unusual for a woman in a straight relationship to be buying the dinner on behalf of the man, this is where this kind of concept has even come from. Now, I've been on dates where I've paid for dinner, and I've also been on dates where we've split the bill. Maybe in hope, but certainly not in expectation, have I ever thought that I'm owed sex. But even paying for the meal in a romantic gesture as such, it's just something that would hardly ever happen if there was a woman there and they decided they were going to pay. It's unlikely that they would think that they were owed sex by the man now. Maybe this is something we have to address to even touch on this problem of who is owed sex, which is nobody, by the way. Stop this patriarchal idea that only the man has the resources to pay for things, so therefore that they should be the ones to pay for dinner. Go Dutch, split the bill, or at least make sure there is a equality in what you're paying. If somebody's paid for dinner, somebody else can pay for the drinks and the movie afterwards. Equality is more than about sex. It's about life and everything in relationships. So you don't owe somebody sex, nor should you expect sex, because sex is a thing when both parties have a willing and enthusiastic yes, and not a coercion into it. Thanks for watching. I hope you liked this video. If you did, then why not give it a thumbs up down below. I make videos every single week, so you should subscribe so you don't miss a thing. And I will therefore see you next time. Bye-bye.